We would like to thank everybody for joining us tonight for the first event in the InterConnected lecture series. We appreciate you joining us as we kick off this series. We also invite you to our November talk, which will be by Kalina Sales on November 17th, and that will be hosted by EKU. Just a little bit about the series. This is a series, it's a collaboration and partnership created by WKU, EKU, NKU, UK, Murray State, and UofL. And our local and regional AIGA chapters as well. This is a statewide lecture series for the 2021 academic year. And this year's focus is Black Voices in Design. And our goal is to diversify and decolonize our practices and design curricula. So we're super excited everybody's here. Tonight's talk is sponsored by the WKU Department of Arts, the Bramham Collins Fund, and AIGA Nashville. So please join me in welcoming Britt Davis. A little bit about Britt. Britt was born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Britt has always been drawn to the arts. Today, Britt's designs are fueled by creative innovation and driven by the opportunity to use design as a platform to inspire others. Britt is an alumna of North Carolina State University, where she earned her bachelor's degree in industrial design. She then went on to earn her Master of Fine Arts degree in graphic design from Savannah College of Art and Design. Her educational accolades are matched by her professional experiences, which include designing for ESPN, Viacom, SB Nation, the WNBA, NASCAR, multiple universities and professional sports teams, as well as individual athletes. Throughout her career, she has had the opportunity to work on a variety of creative projects in product design, print design, user interface, illustration, and identity. Britt has been working in professional sports in Atlanta since 2015, and most recently as a senior graphic designer with AMB Sports Entertainment. All right, so without further ado, Britt Davis.
Thank you again so much for having me, and thank you for reading that bio. It makes me sound so interesting and so cool, and I'm just a little design nerd. So again, thank you all for having me, and I hope that I say something or share something that really inspires you or gets you going in the right direction, whether you're trying to enter sports and entertainment design or just design in general. So with that, again, I'm entering my 6th season with AMB Sports and Entertainment, and that includes the Atlanta Falcons, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as well as our soccer team, Atlanta United FC. Before that, I was working at UNC Charlotte, and then before that, I was working at North Carolina State as a student designer. So I've always known that I wanted to be a designer. I've always been in that creative space, and it got me to where I am today. So, hey, y'all know I'm Britt, and this is what I do. These are places that I've lived and places where I've worked. So my design journey has taken me from North Carolina, where I was born and raised and went to school, to internship opportunities in New York City with Viacom, and now to Atlanta. And throughout all of that, I've done a little bit of freelancing and dabbling into different projects with lots of different groups. Beyond those things, this is just kind of a list of everything that I've had a chance to dabble into. So from branding, logos, activation, environmental design, illustration, a little bit of copywriting, apparel design, signage, web, digital, and just a dash of animation. I am still trying to wrap my head around animation. And beyond this list of things I do as a creative, I'm also an auntie to my nephew, my 3-year-old nephew. Avid sports supporter of my college teams. I'm from North Carolina, so college basketball is a really big thing for us. I'm a French toast connoisseur. I love to make French toast. I love to cook. It's just another creative outlet that gets me away from my computer. I'm a sneaker and vinyl toy enthusiast, so I have a lot of sneakers. And you can't see my space right now, but I have a lot of vinyl toys and action figures and collectibles. And today, again, I hope to be a person that offers something that will make your journey into design a little bit more smooth and impactful. So just a little bit of background, like how did I get into sports? The question I get asked a lot is, did you play sports growing up? I absolutely did not. I am short and I can't really run very fast. I did come from a very athletic family. My dad played football, basketball. My mom ran track. My brother played football. One of my grandmothers is really tall. My grandfather plays golf and tennis. I sketched and I was in marching band. So I did not do sports whatsoever, but I've always been drawn to the aesthetic of sports. And I really got into that space through East Bay Magazine. So East Bay Magazine was a sports catalog that had all the shoes and uniforms and jerseys. And I would get those magazines and I would just sketch the stuff that was in those magazines, the logos, the uniforms, and kind of recreate them myself. And that's when I really started to notice that aesthetic of sport. And I kind of packed it away and just refocused on drawing and illustration like most artsy kids, because I wasn't really sure what design was or what my options would be as a creative. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is just these 5 tips for professional preparedness, these 5 tools that I utilize to kind of help me get to this spot, and a couple of projects that that got me to this spot, and how these survival tips and these projects kind of intertwine together. So the first thing that, you know, when people ask me, how did I get into sports, or, you know, how do I get into sports, you know, if that's the path you're trying to seek, or honestly, any industry within design, one of my number 1 tips is show the work you want to do. You know, for me, getting into sports, it was all about being able to connect to the right team. So I had to be able to go to those teams, those professional teams, be it basketball, football, soccer, and be able to say, I understand the aesthetic. I understand how you guys work. And I needed my portfolio to reflect that. So when I was at SCAD, when I entered SCAD, I knew that I needed to build a portfolio. And so when you're in that program, we do a lot of writing, we do a lot of research, and you do get to pick your own projects. So I wanted to pick my projects and center each project around some kind of narrative of sport. So when it came time to select the topic for my my thesis, we do a visual and a written thesis. I knew I wanted it to be centered around sport. So my topic was developing a campaign for the Negro Leagues and celebrating their centennial for their first World Series. So this would take place in 2024, since the initial one took place in 1924. So I was kind of working ahead because I knew this was something that I could potentially actually pitch to the Negro League Museum, as well as the MLB, or, you know, get other sponsors involved. So I really wanted to build it out to be something that if I wanted to get it funded, I could. So it was a big campaign where there were posters, there were logos, there was apparel, there was an app, a website, a branding system, and all these things that had to come together to make this project work. But the core thing was I was going to utilize a big piece of this project to utilize as a portfolio piece, because I knew after I finished graduate school, I wanted to transition into that space of working in sports. So this was kind of like my keystone project for applying for a job. And oddly enough, the day I actually had my interview with the Atlanta Falcons was the day my first draft for this project was due. So they got to kind of see it in its raw form. And then once I finished it up and graduated, everything kind of fell into place where I got the job offer, and I've been here ever since. Just some behind the scenes of the project. One other thing that was really big for me in this project was documenting my process, showing where the project started from. Sketches, I'm still very much a traditional pen and paper or pencil and paper type when I'm sketching, even though I'm trying to move into that digital space, but I love sketching with paper. I like putting things together. So even utilizing some of my industrial design background of, you know, getting a little bit more hands-on and involving my family. So my grandmother, she was helping me sew patches onto some jerseys that I was making. So I kind of made these press kits that went out to the committee that helped me with my project. And so she was helping me with that. We had pennants made, and we had pins and patches and all these different things that went into the project to go out to media, again, as if this was really going to be a funded project. Another opportunity that kind of helped me show the work that I wanted to do was my internship with Viacom. So when interning with Viacom, I was placed with Spike TV. They don't exist anymore. They're, I think, the Paramount channel right now, but this internship really introduced me to the idea of compositing. So if anybody out there has actually looked at sports posters and you see how they'll take different photos of players and mesh them together, that's compositing. So the way Spike TV does it, when they are doing a new show, they'll shoot each piece individually, and then it's up to the creatives and the artists to bring those elements together to form the poster. So on the day of the photo shoot, they individually shoot the talent or the individuals, and we'll take these backgrounds and we mask them out in Photoshop. We adjust the lighting to make it feel like they're all in the same environment, and we put those things together. We treat the copy, we add in the logos, add in the date and time and everything, and that's how we create these posters. And that was a big help in transitioning from the posters I was doing at the university to working within this space, because when you work in sports design and entertainment, whether you're doing movie posters or a promotional graphic for a player, this is within the realm of that style. So learning how to, do lighting effects and adding smoke and all these other things, like I had to learn how to take all these different moving pieces and put them together as one so that they feel like they were all shot in the same space. So that internship played a big role in understanding how these things come together, how media day works, how to ask for a shot list so that I get the right elements. And the second thing, one of my favorites, is staying creatively hydrated. And basically what that means is just, making sure you are doing projects or doing things and activities that just kind of keep your mind going, so that you're always, sharp, that you're not dried out. So just like the body needs water, our creativity needs to be fueled. Sometimes I have to ask myself, did you drink water today? I'm not sure if they're still on the call, but one of my coworkers, Kayla, she drinks water every day, and she's always asking me, are you drinking water? Everyone's always asking me, did you drink water? So the same way we have to do that for our bodies, we have to do that for, our creativity. So, and the bonus in some of these cases, by staying creatively hydrated, is, that project might lead to an opportunity you didn't, that could take you farther. Like it might just be a passion project or something you're doing on the side, and it might open up a door to something else, even greater. So in staying creatively hydrated, like I'm always doing stuff like research, or I'm always sketching, or I'm just, brainstorming different ideas. And in a lot of cases, I'm able to take those ideas and those brainstorming and actually apply them to what I do for my job. So in this instance, this is one of my favorite projects done for Atlanta United. In soccer, we have this thing called secondary kit. So we have our primary kit or our home kit, and then we have a secondary kit. The secondary kit isn't always going to be in the same colors as your team or fall into that branding. Sometimes they're themed, sometimes they're a little bit more abstract. So when we did our very first kit, our secondary kit, we didn't have a campaign to go with it. We just said, this is our secondary kit. And it wasn't received as well, just because we didn't roll it out marketing wise the way we really should have. So when this one was coming out and the information kind of leaked that it was not going to be red or black or gold, it was going to be peach. And when people saw it, they're like, ew, it's orange. Why is it orange? We're not orange, we are red, gold, and black. One of the things I wanted to try is like, what if we developed a campaign around this kit? So we planned a photo shoot. I got to connect with a vendor to develop a crate that the kit would come in. So it was just like, peaches coming in a crate, like a produce crate. We had a scarf design. We did some stickers and a little postcard and these little produce stickers and badges that went around the city that people could scan. And when they scanned it, they could unlock it and actually get a kit. So it was this full campaign. And these were some of the badges that I developed for that campaign. It just started out with just a bunch of sketches, and I loved them all so much, and everyone on the team really liked them. So we were able to kind of incorporate all of those into the campaign and utilize them for stickers or retail pieces. There was a whole retail line with t-shirts and hats and a bunch of other stuff, and it just really, came together. And that came from just staying creatively hydrated, just always thinking about ideas ahead of time and sketching and just not really slowing down. But I was happy that I was able to actually apply some of those ideas to this and actually see it come to life. In other cases with the Falcons, we get Wallpaper Wednesday. So they're usually super open. We get to pick the theme. And this was an idea that I had been kind of just playing around with our wide receiver, Julio Jones, and his nickname, Jet Jones. And just saying, I really like that movie, Top Gun. And, Julio is like a jet, there's a correlation. So what if, I did a wallpaper that just kind of brought those two things together. And I was able to kind of utilize some of the stuff I learned from my internship with Viacom and Spike TV on compositing to bring this piece together, a game day action shot of him building out that sky, building out the stadium, building the logo and treating it, and then adding the jets and everything in the background to create this wallpaper. And the other cool part about the staying creatively hydrated is just passion projects. Like I have a list, a big document of just ideas that I've had for years, and one day I'm going to work my way through this list of projects. Some of them are a little bit more spontaneous. Some of them are I just want to do this thing, and some of them are in reaction to something that might be going on. So the one, this portrait of Malcolm X was just, I wanted to paint. I missed painting because I did fine arts in high school. And I had gotten a tablet, and I got Photoshop and some brushes, digital brushes in Photoshop, and wanted to kind of experiment with this idea of a digital watercolor. And I just used his image as a topic just to kind of play around, and it created this really nice, fun, loose treatment, but all done within my computer. And then as I kind of started to progress as a creative, I really, really started getting into Illustrator. Like Illustrator is probably my favorite of all applications. And, as mentioned before, I love vinyl characters. I love comic book films and movies and reading comic books growing up. So always finding really fun ways to kind of integrate that into the work that I do. So this series here at the bottom with Luke Cage and the Dora Milaje and Shuri from Black Panther, came from kind of combining my love for those comic books with my love for sports design and how sports mascots are created and that style, and seeing if I could kind of merge those things together. And it just kind of turned into a series. The illustration of the sneaker was a celebration of my hometown. Krispy Kreme is born and raised in Winston-Salem. It's, from my town, so I've always grown up loving it. And my favorite sneaker, and it was Air Max Day this past year. And my friend Kayla and I, my partner Kayla and I, we were like, what if we took this sneaker and we wanted to put it on our platform? And she did one celebrating Chicago, because that's where she's from. I did one celebrating Winston-Salem, and they each kind of fell into this theme. And so I was like, well, original glazed, like the OG, and then looking at the Air Max 1, the OG of that sneaker, and kind of putting those two together, and then stylizing Air Max 1 with the Krispy Kreme logo. Then the peach was for Final Four, which was supposed to be held in Atlanta this past year, but was canceled with everything going on. So just kind of creating this character, this peach and this basketball, wearing the sneakers as an illustration, again, just for the platform that Kayla and I created. So the third thing is staying ready. Being creatively on is not easy. But as a designer, it's almost like, you know, our superpower. So someone asks you, hey, can you design this thing for me? Or can you knock this thing out for me? You know, we're always looking at things with a critiquing eye as well. So, you know, going through the grocery store with my mom when I was younger, you know, she would say, go pick out some cereal. And I would pick out cereal, not just based on the taste, but, you know, what the box looked like, what colors was I drawn to, what was the typography that I was drawn to. So we're always, you know, you know, always trying to stay ready to kind of intake that creativity. So for me, in staying ready, it's been about learning how to kind of say yes to a project. A lot of times I'm afraid to say yes to a project because I'm afraid that, you know, what if I don't do it well? Do I have the skills? Do I have the time for it? But in staying ready, I'm able to kind of take on new creative challenges that, you know, end up, you know, turning out to be something really, really amazing. So this project was with a baseball initiative in Raleigh, 919, MLB 919, I believe is what it's called. And the whole initiative was a collection of designers coming up with a baseball team that will be based in Raleigh and have hats made and have those auctioned off for funding that will go towards the Boys and Girls Club so that they could get baseball fields and supplies and equipment for them to play. And the concept I came up with was the Oak City Owls. Initially, when they came to me about this project, I let it sit in my inbox for about a week because I just wasn't sure I was ready to do it. And once I said yes, I still didn't have an idea. I usually say yes once I have an idea, but this time I didn't have an idea. So I really got to dive in, do some research on Raleigh and the colors and what the owl was going to mean. And, you know, it being Oak City, being the nickname, and how can I combine baseball and the oak and the owl and those elements into one graphic that would fit on a hat or fit on a baseball jersey. And this is, you know, what I end up coming up with. So that initial, you know, idea of staying ready and always being on and, you know, being able to put my research cap on and just saying yes, you know, end up turning into a really, really fun project. Another instance of, you know, a project kind of just coming my way and being ready. I had been kind of playing around with wanting to illustrate, you know, develop an illustration style for a while and just had been putting it off. And then I was approached by my friend Tiffany, who works with ESPN, and she was doing a series during LeBron's free agency. So she contracted designers from each city that had an NBA team and said, design a billboard that would basically try to convince LeBron James to come to that team. And so this idea, you know, came together. It's just LeBron in a Hawks jersey, and then he's dunking a peach instead of a basketball. But this kind of opened up some time for me to experiment with an illustration style. And while, you know, I love the project, you know, it got to be on TV and it was on their website. It got a shout out in like the local sports page. Opportunity for me to develop this illustration style. So it started to turn into this series. So I've done some for Michael Jordan. So when they did The Last Dance on ESPN, you know, we did this piece with the platform that I started with Kayla. We did one for Kobe Bryant, you know, for his birthday, and then did one for LeBron James for his birthday, and then kind of refreshed it for the playoffs that just happened, and, you know, they end up being the champions. So you know, it all worked out great. But that staying ready just opens up so many doors for you and can lead to so many different opportunities, not just professionally, but, you know, creatively. And so now I've been able to set aside this time to develop this style that's continuing to evolve and, you know, hopefully, you know, open some more doors down the road. The fourth thing that I want to look at is connection. You know, in this world of social media, and honestly, just me being here today and speaking, it's all happened because of connection. Just a DM with another designer that I had never met in person, just, you know, admiring their work. And he put my name out and that name was passed along, and now I'm here. So in connection, is really important. It's probably been one of the most helpful for me. And that's how I met my mentor. It's how I got my interview with the Falcons. That was through social media. It's how I've gotten a lot of really cool freelance projects and opportunities, just connection. So this is just like a piece of all the different people that I've connected with that are creatives or mentors or my design and work family that have supported me, pushed me to do better. Even as I, do this talk, I'm getting text messages, so I'm assuming they're on this call somewhere. But having that network and having that connection is really, really, really important. From critiquing to professional development, just to encouragement. Because sometimes as a designer, you can get down, you can be down on yourself about doubt and imposter syndrome and just a bunch of different things that we're hit with as creatives. So that connection and that network is going to be really, really important. So I don't have everybody in here, but just, again, a snippet. So if anybody on this call is in this slide, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Connection can also lead to some really amazing opportunities. Like I said before, so in connection with a designer, we met at a conference named Jess. She does sneakers, and she's an amazing illustrator and designer for the Brooklyn Nets. She passed Kayla and I's name along to her connection with the Seattle Storm. And they wanted to do a series of sneakers for their players for a game around social justice that would then be auctioned off to raise money for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. So Kayla and I were able to take on this project and design and paint and ship off, I think it was 17 pairs of shoes for the team. And ultimately, they were all auctioned off, and in total, they were able to raise $100,000. So being part of a project like that and seeing where it ended up from where we started, it was just, a phone call, just a connection that we had made earlier, and just someone mentioning your name in rooms where you're not present, but your name is mentioned. So that's really the importance and power of connection and what it can do for us. And number 5 is just, be flexible, but, don't break. And what this means is, my early goals coming out of college were so specific and so guided. Like I have to work for Nike or I have to work for Adidas. That's it. That's my plan. That's what I've been working up towards. And the job market said otherwise. So I was either going to say, okay, I'm going to step back a little bit, or I'm just going to be like, well, if I can't have Nike and Adidas, then I can't have anything. So, after talking to my family and some friends and some advisors, they said, okay, you didn't get that job, but what are some other things you can do that while you build up to, where you want to be? And so that's how I got the job with UNC Charlotte. So with that job at UNC Charlotte, it was a new position. I was doing marketing and design and posters around our student activities. So concerts, speaker series, a bunch of different stuff. But I also was able to be put in charge of homecoming and revamping our homecoming. We were transitioning from basketball to football. They had just gotten a football team, or were getting a football team. So having to kind of coordinate that shift from what football looked like versus basketball, and being able to say, okay, this is going to be another opportunity for me to really tap into that passion of sports and entertainment-based design. So I was able to do mascots. I was doing t-shirts. I was doing logos and pins and buttons and all these different things that really suited the direction I wanted to go within my career. So even though the initial job didn't fall into that category that I thought it was, I was still, because I was flexible, I was able to come in and say, I can actually make this what I need it to be to get where, I want to be, in the future. And I ended up being there for about 6 years. And it gave me a good portfolio. It gave me a lot of experiences. It gave me opportunities to work with interns and lead interns and manage people. So it opened up so many doors and so many opportunities for my development as a professional, especially coming out of college, because again, I was just being flexible. And then this last one, this overtime is a bonus, and kind of in light of a lot of the things going on with this year with 2020 and having to be kind of adjustable, is just like, you know, shaking the table or build one. So when you're in this space where, you know, you're in a position and your job is not always fulfilling the things that you want to do, so you can go to your get confident enough to where you can go to your leadership and say, look, I want to do this thing. You know, I'll be a better designer if I had access to this, or I want to be doing projects like this, just to shake it up a little bit, or speaking up on some of the things you think the company should be doing, or the types of projects you think they should be doing, because, you know, they're important to you and they're important to your audience. If they can't accommodate, it's okay. You know, you shook the table. So sometimes you have to go out and kind of, you know, build your own, you know, to kind of make sure you're getting, you know, what you need. And so that's what, you know, that's what we did with this year in 2020, and kind of starting our own platform, you know, locker room. So it's like working with that and bringing in different people and collaborating and having a space where we can just create and work with other creatives and inspire change and work with young designers and do workshops and educate and raise money. Like we were just doing a whole bunch of, you know, different stuff. You know, that was just us kind of building, you know, our own table. And the idea too of, okay, we built this table, now we can take some of what we built and we can start applying it to, you know, what we're doing, you know, at our jobs. And we're starting to see a little bit of that. And I'm not saying you just come in and as a new designer, you know, just flip the whole table over. You know, you have to definitely build up to it. But, you know, it takes confidence, and it takes a little bit of a push, definitely a push for me, because sometimes I can get nervous and a little timid, but I'm trying to, you know, work around that in this space. But that you know, just shake it just a little bit, you know, make yourself known, and, you know, don't be afraid if you shake the table and they don't respond, you know, go out and kind of, you know, build your own. And so in shaking the table with the Falcons over the last couple seasons, you know, just introducing new ideas, new ways of thinking, reinventing our image to where, you know, we were kind of always wanting to be like the nice guys, but, you know, can we be edgy? You know, can we be a little bit more authentic to the fan base in the city, you know, considering where our stadium is actually located. So from doing the field designs to explorations around new word marks and how we present our social graphics for game day, to being kind of cheeky with the language that we play with, where it's Falcons versus all y'all, but if you squint, it's just F all y'all. So it's like, you know, being real playful with our language, and, you know, bringing these different influencers in, and how we utilize our throwback content and styles into the current time, and you're still making that nostalgia relevant and cool. It's lots of different things you can do to kind of shake up the table, be it for yourself, your personal brand, or, you know, even where you work in-house. And that's really it. That's my 5 plus overtime.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Britt. So we've got a couple of questions, some more questions coming in here. So I'm gonna, couple of these I think I can bundle. So we'll bundle a couple of these. So the first one is, how do you stay motivated? And then how does graphic design help with or for a lifelong career?
So with that first part, as far as staying motivated, one of the things that really keeps me, excuse me, one of the things that really keeps me going, you know, as a creative, is just that feeling of when I create something, you know, from my brain to a sketchbook to seeing it on a billboard, or in a space and people enjoying it and interacting with it, like that feeling never gets old. So the more I can kind of create opportunities for that to happen, it's like I get a recharge or a refuel, every time. And then on the other side of it, like I guess more of like a personal human side is when you are kind of out in the world or you're at a conference and someone comes up to you and says, oh my gosh, you did this project. I followed you on Twitter. You followed me back and I followed your work and I was able to do this project and it inspired me to do this. Like I was that person. So having people come up to me now and say that something that I did influence them to be better. Like it's just kind of this continual cycle of inspiration. Like those are the types of things that really, really keep me going. Because you didn't know, like with graphic design, you can do well to support yourself, but you might not be like LeBron James, millionaire type. But you can, really support yourself. But there's something a little bit more deeper to it than just how much money I'm making or that I work for a sports team, but it's like those really special moments of seeing something you've done on a billboard or on a website or just someone enjoying and engaging with it, or just knowing that you're inspiring someone else to kind of follow creativity when others maybe told them that it's not possible or there's nothing really in it for you, and seeing them kind of pursue that.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got a couple more that popped up. What's been your favorite design, and what is your favorite experience as a sports designer?
Oh man, my favorite design is probably a tie between my thesis project, just because of I guess all the research and work that went into it, and like looking back at the completed project just makes me really happy. And even though it's tied to a painful loss and memory, the work I got to do for the Super Bowl, just because I got to not only get to work on that stuff, but I got to take my younger brother, with me to the Super Bowl, and so he got to see like his big sister's work, out there on the screen and on billboards and in all these different spaces. So it was really special, and yeah, I think those are my two of my favorites.
All right, let's see. Trying to look at some of these questions that are similar, and we may not get to everybody's questions, you guys, but we're going to try to cover as many as we can. Let's see. When you wanted to study design in college, was your family supportive?
Yes. So I was super fortunate, super blessed to have parents who supported me, and not only like did they support, but they didn't always understand it. And because they didn't understand it, they said, well, this is something she really wants to do, so we're going to do it right and just surround her with people who do understand. So starting in middle school, when it was more about drawing and painting, they bought the art supplies. And, once I got into high school and it started turning into conversations around career, my family were like, okay, well, what can we do? Who do we know? So my parents, my grandparents knew some local artists, so I would kind of spend time with them. There were different programs I would do in high school that at a time they were kind of swaying me towards architecture, but I really didn't want to do architecture. So my mom had done some research and found like these different design camps at different colleges, so that I went to, that was my first experience going to NC State and spending a week there and getting to kind of go through each program, and then deciding, I want to be an industrial designer because I love putting things together. I love drawing things from inside out and reimagining different products. So that was like the perfect fit. So I'm thankful they were super supportive, and I always want to make sure I give them that shout out, because I know that's not always the case with other students, and really want to make sure that parents and caretakers and others who are in this taking care of these creative young people, that they know that there are options and opportunities out there in a wide area of places for creativity. So yes, they were very supportive.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a similar situation with me. Like my parents were like, we don't know anything about this, but we'll help you. So, I totally get that. All right. This actually comes to us from Julie, who is one of our planning committee members for this event. You mentioned having confidence to speak up in your roles. We talked about the need to speak up in a recent class. Can you speak on how to gain that confidence in or / during entry-level jobs?
Whew, man, it's definitely tough because by nature, like when I'm around my family, I can be really laid back, really relaxed, really silly. But when it comes to being in professional spaces, I do kind of fall into myself a little bit and get really nervous and timid. So it's definitely not easy. But the more I became confident in my work and recognizing that I did the work to be where I am, like I deserve to be in this space, therefore I deserve to be heard. Once I started having that confidence in myself, it's like I could hype myself up. Then I just had to kind of work on the delivery of, what I wanted to speak up about. Because like internally, I feel like I'm yelling, but when the words come out, it's like, I think it would be really nice if we could do. So it's still, still a battle, and I still get, called out about it all the time in meetings. But as long as you're confident, in yourself, in your work, and knowing that you did the work to be there, and just kind of keep that mindset and kind of carry that with you everywhere, not just in your job, but just honestly existing in any space really, where you see something that needs to change. That really, helps you, feel like you can speak up in those spaces from entry level to senior level manager, wherever.
Awesome. And this question parlays kind of into that communication. Have you ever had to deal with a difficult client in that? Have you ever had to change your style to fit them, or is it in that flexibility that helps that?
Yeah, all the time. Be it clients that I've worked with in the past, freelance, or clients that we work with internally. So when we're working with the Falcons, we have to keep the mindset that we have to sometimes sell an idea to a CEO, or maybe, we have to sell an idea to a fan, and that fan might not be in my demographic. That fan that we might be targeting could be the season ticket holder who is 60 plus, and my style might be for this project, my vision for this style might be, I want to get 2 Chainz and the Migos and utilize them for this campaign. And that's my style. But, in order to speak to that particular person for that audience, I'm going to have to kind of adjust, because at the end of the day, if they don't get the message, then, I failed as a designer. So it definitely comes into the space of being flexible, whether it's flexible with the idea, flexible with my style, or the medium in which I carry out the project and the idea. You definitely have to be flexible. When it comes to, clients being difficult, sometimes they just don't know what they want, or they don't know how to communicate the ideas, because, they'll say, I'm not creative. So one of the things that I've learned to try to do is knowing that, helping to guide them to what they want. So utilizing mood boards and showing them, okay, these are the types of images that I think are in the tune of what you're asking for. How do you connect with these images, or do you connect with these images? If not, what are some words that come to mind when you think about your brand? So kind of helping to guide them to the right space, to where they say, well, I'm not a creative, but I at least understand what you're trying to say through these images, or through this texture, and how you're going to extract my project or my design or my vision to this space, so that, my vision comes to life. So when dealing with those difficult clients, I just try to instill a process that's going to keep them involved, and that's also going to help them understand where I'm coming from as a creative, because sometimes it feels like we're speaking two different languages, and that's where, it can get kind of, complicated. But never really come into contact with a client that was like, dismissive or rude or anything, but just sometimes misunderstandings or miscommunications, and how we work that stuff out.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna bundle a couple of questions and then we'll probably finish out with one more after that. So for those of you guys, if you didn't get your questions answered, I'm sure Britt's got her Instagram handle up here if you wanted to reach out to her. All right,
Yep.
so a couple of these that are kind of a combo of questions are questions about skills. One of them in particular references, what's your opinion on, a Photoshop certification, tips for learning and refining compositing skills for sports design, and kind of how to ease into sports communication.
So as far as like, certification, those things always help, especially if you're going to be applying to be in-house, somewhere, just something you can kind of, list out on your resume to say, hey, I am qualified. I know what I'm doing. And depending on where you're going, like the creative director that hired me, his big thing was just portfolio. So just knowing that you could actually do the work, whether you had a certification, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. At the end of the day, for him, he just really wanted to make sure that you could execute the designs at the standard that team is looking for. If you're trying to kind of get into that specific space of sports, again, it's just really knowing that industry, like looking at and analyzing the styles that are coming out from different teams. So for a long time, one of the critical things around sports design was everyone's style was the same. Everything looked the same. So you see a lot of teams trying to branch off and find inspiration in avenues that are not screaming sports. So they might use the fine arts as inspiration, or they may use the city as inspiration, or more organic avenues. And then how does that tie in or juxtapose to the idea of sports or their team's branding? So being mindful of that and really looking at what different teams are doing, and then kind of finding a comfortable space for you to start to explore, and then either do sample projects or test projects, and utilizing real players and real team branding. Like that's kind of like the best way to get into that space.
All right,
Hopefully.
and we'll finish up with what's your long-term plan for locker room?
I don't know. I don't know. Like for me personally, right now, because of the season, where soccer and football is going on, so it's like having to not be able to really do anything with it for me right now. Just being kind of on pause, and then just using it right now for like, hey, I did this experimental illustration, or backlogging projects, but ultimately what I would love to do, whether it's with locker room or with my own stuff, is utilizing that platform to educate. So similar to what we were doing with the Seattle Storm, like being able to take art and a platform and a purpose and bring awareness and raise funds. Like I would love to be able to do more stuff like that. Education has always been a big thing for me. Like it was the reason why I went back to graduate school to get my master's. Is ultimately I would like to teach at the university level and kind of focus around professional preparedness for students. So that's like where the points of this talk came from, was how I use these different things to kind of prepare me for a career change, or entering into the professional design scape. I would love to be able to kind of build a platform around that, and seeing if locker room or collaborating with universities or AIGA and other platforms will make space for that. Like I don't want it to just be this agency where people come to have their stuff done, but I want it to have meaning and purpose and experience behind it to like lift up other people.
All right. So any last advice for students that are still in design school? We can just kind of end with that.
I would say, don't, when you apply, and if you don't get a call back or, excuse me, or if you don't get the job, don't let yourself, get down. Like I applied for, like I said, my goal, my dream was to work at Nike. And, I applied with them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And I think it wasn't until like maybe I was in Atlanta maybe about 2 years, and then I got a call from Nike. So now I'm all settled in. I like Atlanta. It's great. My nephew had just been born, and I get an opportunity for an interview. I'm like, well, now I don't know if I want to move to Oregon. It's so far away. But just knowing that they saw my work and that they reached out, and that in some way I was qualified at least enough for a call, made me feel good, that they saw the potential, that they saw the talent. And it made me feel good. But when I have been rejected before, I did kind of take it hard because I was so set on it, and just support from my family, like that network, really leaning into them to kind of help drive me back to other options. So again, just being flexible, looking at freelance, looking at just carving out opportunities for yourself. Social media is a powerful tool when it comes to connection. Mocking up stuff to where it looks like a real product. Like you have so many more options to really sell and push your work. But just staying encouraged. There's so many people out there who want to do design, and who are doing it in different ways, from in-house to freelance. So it can be a challenge. It can be a tough market to get into, but just staying confident in yourself, looking at ways to really set yourself apart. If you're going to do sports design and everybody is doing a certain treatment on their photos, come up with your own, so that you kind of, set yourself apart, so that when you're applying for those same jobs, your stuff looks different from everybody else, to try to stay ahead of the curve, or just suggest that you can look beyond what's popular. Just you be innovative. Like, don't just copy what everybody else is doing. Be innovative when you're for yourself.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We would, again, you guys, like to thank the WKU Department of Art, the Bramham Collins Fund, and AIGA Nashville. Also, a special shout out to the InterConnected Lecture Series Planning Committee faculty. Again, this is a big collaboration amongst 6 Kentucky colleges and universities, and this was the perfect way to kick this off. So thank you so much, Britt. And again, everyone, please join us in November for our talk with Kalina Sales. So I think we're done for the evening, but thank you so much. And thank you, Britt, for your time.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me. And I'm seeing all the new follow notifications. So if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.